scored in the fourth quartile on the Casper test, and this is what I did. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. This video is basically me sharing tips on how I scored in the top quartile on the Casper test. So what is a Casper test? So the Casper test is basically an online situational judgment test where applicants are required to respond to hypothetical situations or to scenarios. So the Casper test is divided into two sections. The first section is the typed section where you have different scenarios and you are expected to answer 3 prompts in about 5 minutes. And after completing this type section, you move on to the video based section where you reply to different prompts just on a video basis. So you have all these 3 different prompts, which is similar to the type section, but you have to reply in the form of a video. So guys, this test would typically take you 90 to 110 minutes to complete. I took the Casper test on February 2nd at about 6 p.m. and I had to wait for a month later to get my results. I'll just attach some footage of couple of minutes before the test and when I got my test results back a month later. And I would say my experience with Casper was great. Obviously I was nervous, I was worried, but at the end of the day I will share some tips that kind of like helped me through the preparation process that ultimately led me to success. So when I was preparing for Casper, I did not pay for any third-party resources. I only used resources on YouTube, and equally I used Prep Match, which is very helpful because it gives you the same type of simulation just like Casper. So you have this same, like the questions, the prompts, the 3 prompts will pop up and you have the same 5 minutes to actually type out your responses. So that was really helpful for me using Prep Match. It was like one of the best resources that I even came in contact with that really helped me. I found a couple of YouTube channels that were really instrumental towards my success in Casper. We have Med Boys, we have Rachel. I'm not too sure of her name, but I'm gonna attach her name. She's equally a YouTuber, and the BMO Consulting web YouTube. So they have a YouTube page where they have like questions and answers and just how best you could like probably walk through your whole Casper questions and the best way you can present your answers. Tips that really helped me to score in the fourth quartile on Casper. So the first tip was increasing my typing speed. So I'm a very slow typer. I would typically average 45 words per minute. However, I used 10 Fast Fingers was the website I used, and I practiced almost every single day. Well, not every day, but like every I tried to be consistent on the website, and my typing speed like really improved. Like I think I was already approaching 60 words per minute, which was really great, and that really boosted my ability to put out lots of words and explain myself. Another really helpful tip that really boosted my Casper score was avoiding assumptions. So with Casper, you do not want to assume anything because you do not have all the facts of the case or of the scenario or of that situation. You do not know everything, so you don't want to pass out judgment. And going into professions like nursing, for example, you do not want to be a judgmental kind of nurse or doctor or any kind of healthcare professional. You want to make sure that you have all the facts of the case for you to be able to come to a more appropriate conclusion. So if you're given a scenario, do not jump into any conclusion. During the Casper test, you'll be faced with different scenarios, and you trying to think what you're gonna do in every scenario can take up a bulk of your time. In my case, when I was faced with a scenario, I already had a sample answer that I just changed based on the questions. So if I was given a scenario, what I do is I'll try to figure out what this scenario is talking about, the principles that this scenario goes against, and who does this situation affects. Like, I just try to figure out the people who are directly affected by this situation, and especially when given a scenario, I try to know the names, like try to know if they're mentioning Peter or Paul. I try to figure out these names and just have it at the back of my mind that these are the people we're talking about, and I try to include these names in my response. So with Casper, it's always best to be very vigilant, especially in the video prompts or in the video sections, because you do not want to miss out on a name or any other specific details which are very important for you in answering the questions. So you have to listen and jot down names, the situation, the particular scenario, the pressing issue. Jot them down because it will be very instrumental towards answering your questions on Casper. Another thing is basically just try to type as much and as fast as possible. I've tried to avoid leaving empties or blank questions on your Casper. Just type, because Casper doesn't really, the instructors do not grade your English. I don't want to put it that way, but they do not look into your spelling or your grammar mistakes because of how time sensitive this exam is. They are more lenient with that. So in this case, just type, giving your best, and the instructors will definitely acknowledge that. They will see how this person was responding and see that you were doing your best, and they would consider that as I don't know, as you doing it, as you putting in your best, right? So you just want to put in your best regardless of any circumstance. And another tip with Casper is just actively paying attention. Okay, so what do I mean by actively paying attention? Casper generally would test for particular principles and particular skills, like your ability to problem solve, your critical thinking, your empathy, your professionalism. That's just to name a few. So in situations that, in scenarios that you will encounter, you have to demonstrate these principles. You do not just state, I'm going to be empathetic. How are you actually empathetic? How are you actually showing that you're a professional? So let's give a scenario. For example, an angry customer walks into the store and is very furious about a product they purchased and it wasn't working. What do you do in this situation? In this situation, you try to remain professional. Like, even if the customer is screaming and is yelling and is using very unkind words, we as professionals try to stay calm and listen to their concerns, empathize with them. How do you empathize with them? Do not just state, I'm going to empathize with this customer. No. What do you say? You tell the customer, I know this is very frustrating. I know you got this product from us expecting it for it to work. However, it didn't work. You can apologize to the customer. Try to figure out what the store policy says. If the customer is eligible for a refund, a return, make that possible for the customer and just genuinely apologize. I just feel like with Casper, you just have to look at it like, what will you do if you're faced with this kind of situation in real life, right? You just don't want to be completely out of it. You want to put yourself in that situation and say, okay, if a customer walks up to me and was angry, what will I do? If I was a sales associate at the store, what will I do? How will I handle this? If I was a server at a restaurant, how will I handle an angry customer? Like, you just want to put yourself, like, simulate yourself in that particular scenario. So it's best for you to know how to answer those questions. Because with Casper, you want your personality to shine through. You want to explain it so that it seems very genuine and is coming from you. Because the thing with Casper is so many people try to answer or give very robotic answers, like I would try to be, I will not jump into any conclusions, I will not I will not be judgmental, I will not be. You do not just state those things, right? How do you do those things? How do you state that you are going to remain professional? You being a professional is you apologizing to this customer, you keeping your calm. That is you being professional, rather than just stating I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that. Like, how are you actually going to be that? So now let's move on to the video section of Casper. So for the video section of Casper, it's going to be the same situation or the same scenario. So with the video base, you're required to have your camera on and in clear visibility. So you're supposed to be always in front of the camera. So for no reason should you get out of the camera, especially when it's the time for you to give your, it's time for you to record your answers or for you to give your answers. So it's best to always stay in the same or in clear visibility. So when you're given a prompt which is very much similar to the type section, you should answer it in the same way. Remain non-judgmental, try to get out as much information. Do not assume that the instructor will know what you're talking about, even if it means breaking down the scenario. Oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to follow up. Do all of that. Do not assume, oh, it's normal, this person should do this. No, you have to break it down. For example, if the customer is angry about the product they purchased from the store, what do? You would listen to the customer, let them vent. You acknowledge their frustrations, you empathize with them. How do you empathize with them? You let them know that you understand their frustrations, however you're willing to work forward to resolve this. So I just believe that with Casper, you're breaking down the scenarios, you're trying to create that path or that train of thought, or how you come to your conclusion of, oh, this is what I'm gonna do, this is what I'm gonna do, this is. So you want to show your instructor or the person who's going to be marking your Casper test that you know what you're talking about. So that is pretty much it with Casper. Just gonna give final tips, like just be very vigilant when there's the video prompt of a question and you're hearing names and places and particular scenarios. Just try to keep them or to note them, and just try to get like a sample answer that you think is gonna work for all your questions. Because in my case, I had sample answers that I used for my Casper situation and for my scenarios. Just you identifying what kind of problem this is, and what you would do, and how this problem affects who does it affect. So that's just it, and just let your personality shine through. I will highly recommend that you take the necessary breaks that you need. So with the Casper, I think you'll probably have 2 to 3 breaks. So it's very essential you take those breaks. Go to the washroom, have a glass of water, calm down, because there will probably be particular situations or scenarios where you might not be able to type out your responses completely, and that might get you worked up. But one bad question is not a whole bad test. So you just want to keep moving forward. You want to keep the positive energy. You want to believe in yourself that you can do it, because honestly, it's not a very hard test, but sometimes it could get your nerves up if you do not know what to really do. So just calm down, think about every scenario, put yourself in it. Okay, if this happens, how am I going to approach this? So I just recommend that you go through Prep Match, which is a free resource you could use to practice. You could use YouTube videos just to get a more analytical way of answering the questions. And I hope that anyone who's watched this video could get something really, I don't know, informative out of it.